President Donald Trump is calling for the elimination of taxes on Social Security benefits. Also today, virtual voting by the Democrats starting to make it official for Kamala Harris to be the Democrat nominee. This virtual voting process will start today, will take place through Monday when she will officially become the DNC nominee. We'll talk about that. And a majority of voters believe that the vice president knew about and covered up President Biden's reported cognitive health issues. A chilling video released yesterday from James Copenhaver, one of the two victims who survived the attempt on President Donald Trump's life. Of course, local firefighter hero Corey Katamara his life was taken during that, Capatero. This video that Mr. Copenhaver released yesterday shows a figure walking across the roof of the building where moments later shots would be fired and one of those bullets hitting Mr. Copenhaver. We have that for you. Those of you who are watching on the Salem News Channel, we have that for you to see later in this hour. 800-655-6453, 800-655-MIKE is how you join the conversation. Phone calls are welcome. We'll put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. You can also send me a quick note on the MyPillow text line. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre responded to comments from President Trump questioning what race Vice President Kamala Harris is. The former president said that he thought she was Indian and suggested that she had become black when it was politically advantageous for her. Karine Jean-Pierre said his comments are insulting, adding that no one has any right to tell someone who they are. In cut number one, the White House press secretary was asked about these comments and talked about how the vice president gets to make that choice herself. Cut number one.
As a person of color, as a black woman who is in this position that is standing before you at this podium behind this lectern, what he just said, what you just read out to me, is repulsive, it's insulting, and, you know, no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right. It is someone's own decisions. I'll add this. Only she can speak to her experience. Only she can speak to what it's like. She's the only person that can do that. And I think it's insulting for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a former leader, a former president. It is insulting. And we have to put, she is the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. We have to put some respect on her name, period.
Put some respect on her name, period. So this all started when former President Trump said during his appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists, of which he was invited. Kamala Harris was also invited. She chose not to attend. She tried to arrange a virtual visit. That was denied. Donald Trump showed up in person. He spoke. He answered questions. He was asked a question about this, and he answered. Trump told the crowd that the vice president, quote, became a black person after years of identifying as Indian in response to a reporter's question. Trump was speaking at the convention when ABC News' Rachel Scott asked the question if he agreed with the Republican lawmakers who had characterized Harris as a DEI hire on Joe Biden's part. Now, we all know that Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris as his running mate to check some boxes. She's a female, so let's check that box. She's black. Let's check that box, or at least at the time she was saying that she was black. President Trump said, I've known her for a long time. Indirectly, not directly, he said. And she was always of Indian heritage and she was only promoting Indian heritage at the time. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black. And now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know. Is she Indian or is she black? Scott then told Trump that Harris has always identified as black, adding that she went to a historically black college. Trump said, I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't because she was Indian all the way. And then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person. I think somebody should look into that. Now, what he's referencing here is in 2016, the Associated Press reported that then California Attorney General Kamala Harris was running to become the first Indian American to become a U.S. Senator. During that campaign, she promoted her Indian American ancestry. 4 years later, when then Vice President Joe Biden tapped Harris as his running mate in 2020, Harris was referred to as a black woman to compete on a major party's presidential ticket. Harris was born in 1964. Her father is Jamaican. Her mother is Indian. She spent her years growing up in Berkeley, California. Trump his running mate, J.D. Vance, the senator from Ohio, fired back at the criticism, saying the former president walked right into the NABJ conference and showed he had the courage to take tough questions, while Kamala Harris continues to hide from any scrutiny or unfriendly media like the coward she is. Former presidents George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton all attended the NABJ convention in the past. Some of the convention goers weren't happy that the black candidate for the DNC did not show up at the Black Journalist Convention. They weren't happy with Kamala Harris. On the other side of that argument, though, Trump created quite a stir by making this statement. Social media exploded after he made the comment, because now people are saying, well, he's not being fair to Kamala. You know, she has dark skin. She says she's black. We should accept that at face value. He's just simply pointing out something, the contradictory information that's out there based on information that she put out there. So how do you go from being Indian American in 2016 when you're running for the U.S. Senate to being black when you want to be vice president? It is a question to be asked. I don't think it's an unfair question to be asked. Donald Trump right now, though, some people are saying, yeah, he didn't learn. He didn't learn by the bullet that almost took his life. He's back to his old self. Is this a fair question for Donald Trump to ask, or is this a question that should just go unasked? Should Donald Trump stay away from these type of issues in this presidential campaign? So, some people want to see the kinder, gentler Donald Trump that we saw the days following the attempt on his life. Did he go too far in speaking to this group of black journalists when he questioned President Kamala Harris's race? Back to the phones. Ted is in Norfolk, Virginia. Welcome, Ted. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Yes, hey, good. I'm calling because these questions are always going to be happening to Republicans, and I think they need an answer. So when Trump got the question, well, what race is Harris? John Pierre gave us the answer. You'll have to ask her what her race is. That's all you got to say. You'll have to ask candidate Harris what she thinks her race is today. The other thing is about the DEI. So we all know what President Biden's selection was, but how we would handle that would be, hey, I don't know. You'll have to ask Biden. But what does it matter? Color shouldn't matter. It should be the best qualified. That's what matters. See how we could turn that around and put it back on their own faces.
Right, right. So you don't think that Trump should have gotten involved with whether she's black or Indian or even what she has said in the past?
Well, now, is that a fight that we can win?
Yep. I don't know. Good question. Obviously, the left yesterday took him to task on that. Now his supporters say, well, yes, that is a valid a valid argument. That's a valid question. And
right,
she
but
she
the media
she did
is against us, and so we got to have to go. Okay, we'll play your game. You'll have to ask her what her race is because only she can speak to that. We've been lectured about that just recently. So,
appreciate
thank you.
All right, appreciate your phone call, Ted. 800-655-6453. Just minutes ago, President Trump posted on Truth Social a photo of Kamala Harris with her appears to be her family in their Indian. It's like some type of scarf over her shoulder. Who knows? Tracy just brought my attention to a news article. This is dated in 2021, just prior to the inauguration on January 21st. I'm sorry, January 20th of 2021, where there was a lot of speculation on whether or not Kamala Harris, as she was being inaugurated as Vice President of the United States, would wear her Indian sari. Now, a sari it's like a and the photo that Donald Trump posted on Truth Social this morning shows a photo of her with her mom and other family members wearing her sari. This is like a scarf that she wears over her shoulder and down and around her waist. In an interview on CNN, a fashion designer said that it would not be a surprise if Kamala decides to wear a sari for the inauguration ball. According to him, it's important for Madam Vice President that she uses her sari as a tool to bring people together. She was asked a question, evidently, about wearing the sari by a person from the audience during a campaign speech back then. She said she was asked if she would be wearing the traditional Indian sari if she wins the election. Kamala said then, well, let's win first, and kind of laughed it off. 800-655-6453, 800-655-MIKE. Your comments are welcome on the MyPillow text line. Texter says, Joey, Trump is absolutely correct to point out the phoniness of candidates like Harris. Democrats try to exploit everything to their advantage. Trump needs to double down on Harris, her race, because she knows how phony she really is. Is this a question? Is this something that needs to be discussed? Or does Trump need to, like we've talked about in the past, just stick to the policies? Stick to the absolute failures of the Biden administration. Let's just take, for example, the southern border. Kamala Harris, we all know, was the border czar. Now, right now, she wants to claim that she was not, that she was never the border czar, that she was tasked to go to South America and talk about the root issues. Okay, well, let's say she's right. Did she get to the root issues? Did she ever get an answer to what the root causes of our crisis at the southern border is? And what did she do about those? Let's give her the argument that, well, she wasn't really the border czar, that she wasn't chosen to solve the crisis at the southern border, but that she was chosen to try to determine what the root causes were, because that's a term that she uses quite often when answering this question, the root causes. I was tasked to get the root causes. So, Madam Vice President, what are the root causes, and what are you doing about them? Back to the phones. David is in Colorado Springs. Welcome, David.
Good morning, Joey.
How are you? What's on your mind today?
Well, when Trump answered that question, I disagree with the way he answered it, because we need to bring the truth out. We're so divided. Everybody's race this, race that, you're black, white, whatever. I don't believe that their, race is defined by color, because we're all human beings. There's only one race, and that's the human race. So I believe in race, ethnicity, culture in that order.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm multi-ethnical. I come from a lot of different bloodlines.
Yeah.
And when people start talking about race and then they put color in it, I simply quote Malcolm X. Look at the definition of black. Nobody fits that color. Look at the definition of white. Nobody fits that color.
Mm-hmm.
Brown is the only color that everybody can fit into because there's different variations of brown.
So what's your point then? I mean, are you just saying that Trump should not get pulled into the conversation of what her true race is?
Right, we shouldn't. And if we do get into that conversation, we should, as a group, point out the fact that yes, when they ask what race is she, we should just simply answer human.
Human, yeah. Okay, I got you. Back to the phones. Ron is in Seminole, Florida. Welcome, Ron. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hi. Yeah, I'm 100% for him exposing her. I think it's ridiculous for the people who are saying that he shouldn't bring up about her being Indian. I mean, she's a fraud. I mean, she's lying about it. I think it's brilliant that he's bringing it up and how he sent in those pictures of showing that she had the scarf on and all that other. Yeah. But I definitely believe he needs to do that, and it's a good thing. I mean, one of the reason we love Trump is he's got guts, and he definitely should have answered it the way he did.
Yeah. Well, he's not afraid to talk about it. And I guess in the end it doesn't matter what color she is. She just needs to be honest about it. She doesn't need to be saying that she's one race over another for political gain, for sure. Appreciate your phone call, 800-655-6453. Hey, if you haven't gone online to give yet, we kicked off our Food for the Poor campaign this week. Go to MikeOnline.com, click on the Give Life, the big red banner. Give $100, $500, $1,000, whatever you can afford. Let's buy some food and water for these kids. The Federal Reserve kept the interest rates to a 2-decade high yesterday while leaving the door open for some cutting rates possibly in the fall. I'm Joey Hudson, in for Mike Gallagher.